A man approached his rival and said, "I lay with your wife last night without paying a dime." The other man replied, "It is my duty as her husband to lay with her. What made you do it?"
Still thug and zero, y'all still bullshit. Need to sit down, take a two or two money till we get it. Paul Wall and that cool was ain't talking. Money speak, all that bullshit, keep run the side, run.
Thanks for being on. My name's JT. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My name is Tom. It's not actually Roman Helmet Guy legally, so that's good to know.
You still got time to change that. It's pretty easy to go down that route. Trust me. I've looked into changing my name to JT Good at Sex and JT Handsome. Super easy. Literally just sign a piece of paper.
It's like, no, legally, I mean it. It's true. The law says so.
Oh yeah, take me to court on this, buddy. I say that sentence all the time. Why don't you go ahead and take me to court on this idea, buddy? Man, what part of the country are you in?
I'm in New Jersey, pretty close to New York City.
Nice.
We talking like Hoboken close or like?
That's it, Hoboken, yeah.
Oh, hell
I'm
yeah.
not sure if you know where Hoboken was, but if you guys are East Coast, then yeah, it makes sense.
We got a pizza place called Hoboken Pizza in Austin, Texas. And so I've pretty much been to Hoboken.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
People say, "Oh, this is real Jersey pizza." I go, "Okay, buddy, I believe you. We're having a real Texas good time then, my guy. Let's do it. Let's have some Jersey pizza." There's another pizza place that calls itself Traditional Detroit Pizza. And I'm always like, okay.
I know like Chicago has its own deep dish style, but I've never heard of Traditional Detroit.
It's square shaped. I'm like, so cafeteria pizza, that's y'all? Y'all doing that? Okay.
Yeah, that's the school lunches. All this time we didn't know we were having gourmet Detroit pizza.
Yeah. Robert's in Tennessee right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm actually in the middle of packing up my apartment because I'm moving on Saturday to Oklahoma.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
What's making the move?
I wanted to be the most handsome man in a state.
Exactly. Well, there you go. Well,
I got good shots.
You could just change your name legally to JT, most handsome man in the state.
Yeah.
So.
And then it says legally contractual at the end of my name. I'm legally contractually obligated to be.
Fair.
So Jersey, okay. Well, Robert, are we recording? Are we on? Are we live?
Yes. We never did this live, JT. We're recording. Everyone's coming in good. So
we did it live once. Almost twice, but I got COVID.
Oh, well, I mean that we didn't really like record an episode live. That was just the live show we did.
We tried to record an episode live, but there was technical difficulties.
Yeah. But you want to, JT, you want to just dive right in with Tom, aka Roman Helmet Guy?
AKA Roman Helmet Guy. Thanks so much for being on. I watch your videos. I'm not like a history guy, but obviously it's like every dude in the world, you can either be into Roman history or military history or like current politics. That's like kind of divides everyone. And so like I got like smooth brain when I watch your videos. I just like, oh wow, that's so interesting. I'm like, do the thing with the shields, nice.
Yeah, you gotta pick one, right? Like what, Roman history, World War II history, or like trains. You know.
Yeah. How long have you been in Roman history for?
So I actually got interested in history really late in life. I was always a math and science guy, and then I had a friend turn me on to History of Rome podcast by Mike Duncan. If you ever heard of that, that is awesome. And then he and I would just discuss it all the time. And then I was like, all right, this is like, we're going to bond over Roman history. So we started reading like books together. I got super into it. And the rest is history, Roman history. So
how long? Okay, so when we talk about Roman history, right, we think about the dudes in skirts and with big shields and in the arenas, and they're doing like Republic style talking. They got guys named Plato. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, how long does that period exist for?
Well, dudes in skirts goes on for a long time, right?
Oh, sure, that's forever. That's everywhere across the world, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's coming back. Like people, it's underrated. But yeah, so I mean, the Roman Republic is technically, the city was founded in like 780 BC or something. Like, someone's going to correct me on that in your comment section. But like,
I doubt it.
Yeah, So sometime there, that's the mythical founding when they have like Romulus and Remus, and they're both like sucking from wolf nipples and things like that. But probably like the real historical period of Rome starts around like 387 BC, when the Celts go in, they sack Rome, and then they destroy basically all the records. So everything before that is kind of like mythical. And after that, the Romans aren't still really like writing and reading all that much because they think it's lame, but there's more history going on since then. And then the Caesar really ends all that stuff with the Republic, more like 40s, 50s BC. So you get like 300 periods of a good era.
300 years or so.
Yeah. But then the Greeks were doing it way before too. So Rome was really kind of like taking a lot of inspiration from the Greeks. So
I always think of that as one time period because my brain's soft, so I don't really think too much about it. I think like in my mind, it's like Pythagoras and like Socrates could have smoked together. You know what I mean? Like they were all in the same time as Jesus. You know, in my mind, all three of those guys could have broken bread. Could have been in the same court of law for all I know. I don't know.
Well, JT, I think we should also let Tom know that you were homeschooled.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of things JT will just be like, damn, like I never knew about that. Like the moon controls the currents. He's like, damn, I thought that was just God.
Blew me away too. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not like a crit. I wouldn't call myself like a thought leader. You know what I mean? I'm not going out there being like, I'm going to get to the source text. I'm more of like just kind of fill my brain with little fun facts. I'll remember some of them kind of, you know, I'm more of a chit chat type of guy, not like a smart read type of guy. Like when you said there was that period where the Romans didn't read or write, I was like, okay. I was like, a lot to learn from them.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be some topics, you know, like super deep though. I bet you if you're homeschooled, like you must have gone like super hard with some stuff. No.
Fearing God, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You know, Pythagoras had a cult.
Oh yeah. Well, do you know too much about that? Was it no sex or all sex?
I don't know about the sex stuff so much. Like, I don't know what you're Googling, but
I'm Googling specifically that Pythagoras sex cult.
That's like, yeah, you should try and target that niche. Yeah, so all I know is he's super famous now for the, you know, triangle theorem and stuff, right? But I think he actually believed like numbers were the source of like everything. Like numbers actually existed in some like Platonic ideal world, and yeah, to like worship like the integers, and everybody was about it, and everybody's like, that makes a lot of sense. Let's do it. We're gonna worship numbers. And he was a hero to like all these mathematicians and stuff.
I can't argue against it. You know what I mean? I can't prove him wrong. So who am I? Am I gonna say we shouldn't worship numbers? What am I gonna tell him? I'll just go, all right, man. You know. So there's some weight there. You know. Can you prove that numbers aren't God? What do I know, man? There's only one time I've been certain that something wasn't God. That's because I went to some like camp out, like a Buddhist campground, and I was using their fire pit cooking hot dogs. And then they came up to us and they're like, "Hey, that's a sacred fire pit. I can't believe you cooked hot dogs in it." And we were like, "We didn't know that." And they were like freaking out. And I was like, "Damn, if your God can be killed by hot dogs, you have a weak God." That's the only time I was like, "Okay, so your God's kind of whack."
Well, that's a serious flaw in some of these pagan religions, and one of the reasons they get well, you know, just in terms of like strategy wise. I'm not saying like belief wise, but one of the reasons I think they get replaced by Christianity is they have like these objects that they say are super powerful, and then people just go and fuck them up. So like Saint Boniface, one of the reasons the early German tribes convert to Christianity, right? Some of like these like more like the tribes that are still in Germany. But so 500 AD, there's this like Roman monk. He goes to the sacred grove tree, right? The Germanic tribes always worship these trees. Goes to the sacred grove tree, and he just goes up with an axe, and he's like, "I'm going to cut this down." And everyone's like, "You will die. Like, you will get struck by lightning. Like, good luck." They're not even trying to stop him because they're like, no way, he's done. He chops it down, and they're like, "Well, fuck, I guess we're Christians now."
And your God wins. And yeah, see, that to me, that would convince me. I'm one of those tribes who will be like, "Well, that is clearly the stronger God."
There's a similar story in like early Islam. So like one of the early followers, one of the early Muslims, right? He does the same thing. That there are all these like stone statues that the pre-Islamic tribes would worship, and so Islam's starting to spread. And there's this you know, kind of southern city or whatever. There's some new city they're trying to break into, and they all worship this one statue. And some dude just goes, cool, like I'm just gonna come down there and I'm gonna break the statue. And everyone just goes up on like a hill away from the city. They're like, we don't want to be anywhere near this, but like you can try. Like you're dumb, dude. You're gonna die. Breaks the statue. They're like, well, all right, we believe now.
Yeah, that's how we do it. That's how religions should argue. I don't want to see debates on stages. I don't want to see academics talk about source text. I want to be like, okay, how about who's ever God destroys this monument wins? That's straight up. That's how God should work to me. That to me, I'm like, that is that's a material thing for your metaphysical conversations. Let's go. You know what I mean? I drive my car towards your car as fast as possible. Whoever side, that's who's in the good favor of God, right?
Right. Your God versus God, one-on-one.
Dude, that I don't ever want to see two fucking nerds on stage talking about books they read ever again. I want to see fucking combat of the holy ones. You know what I mean? That's what I want to see. That's I'm spiritual Mad Max, baby.
There's some Netflix show. It's like anime or something. I forget what it was. One of my friends showed it to me. I don't forget the name of it, but they actually do that. They take all the gods from different cultures and they have them like fight each other. It's pretty dope. It's like one of those shows where it's anime where like Dragon Ball Z style where like it's paused on the face for like 30 seconds and the guy's just making like an angry face. But if they cut it down to like a 5-minute show, it'd be pretty dope.
I'm sold. Here's the thing. I'm ready to be convinced of something. You know what I mean? I'm easily sold. You could scam me pretty easily. I like if a snake oil salesman knocked on my door, I'd probably be drinking snake oil by the end of the day. That's just pretty agreeable. If you tell me you're my friend, I believe you, and yeah, I'll give you a ride to the bus stop. You know what I mean? I don't care if I just met you outside this coffee shop. Here you go, buddy.
Yeah, if I ever start my success cult of Pythagoras, I'll let you know. You can be like
put me on the email list, my guy. I will not unsubscribe. I'll be like, okay, you got my attention. Right on.
Oh, so somebody. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please. You're the guest. You had something to say. I interrupt. So chit chatty. I can't help it. I just talk.
No, I was going to say something you said earlier. What made me think of this? So, like you're saying, like Pythagoras or Socrates and Jesus, like just as far as you know, they lived at the same time.
Sure.
I think it's crazy. So, like Socrates lived around the same time as the Buddha. But then Socrates is like 500 years before Caesar, who lived at the same time as basically the same time as Jesus, like 50 years before. But like, all right, so we have like daily writings from Julius Caesar, right? Like we know like basically where he was like every day, like, you know, what he was doing, who his friends were, who he was like having sex with. Like he maybe had an affair with the dude's mom that killed him, by the way. It might have been personal. But then you think of people like legendary figures like King Arthur. You're like, okay, this has to be like way before Caesar because we don't know anything about him, right? That legend takes place 500 years after Caesar. Isn't that crazy? Because there's just. Yep.
Was King Arthur real?
So my favorite theory is, so it's really crazy, right? Because the Romans conquered most of Britain, at least the parts of Britain that King Arthur is supposed to be from. They most of that area, but then they abandoned it in the 400s AD because basically they're just getting shit on from all sides by barbarians, right? So like they're like, okay, you know, this is like an outpost. It's pretty far away. This is a weird island. Let's just go. Let's just leave.
Then.
yeah, exactly. And but so they leave like all these people there. Some of the like more original Britons and things like that. But basically everybody who knew anything about Roman culture or history is like gone. And then some of those people invite the Angles and the Saxons and the Jutes over. That's how we get like Anglo-Saxon. And those guys are basically just hired mercenaries that come in to try and like defend off some of the other barbarians that are coming in. But then they see that like nobody here can fight, and they're like, I think I'll just take this land, right? And they invite all their buddies over, and they just come over. But my favorite interpretation of who King Arthur probably was, because he's always fighting the Saxon. He hates the Saxons, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't like them either, frankly. I don't know too much about them except what you've told me, and they kind of sound like dicks.
I mean, I've got a lot of Irish in me, so like, you know, I agree.
Yeah.
So, but is that he's kind of more like a Welsh national hero, right? He's from that kind of area. And I think a lot of people think that he was one of the last Roman generals who tried to stay and fend off some of these Anglo-Saxon invasions, or like somebody that was like there culturally from that time and fends off some of the Anglo-Saxon invasions and keeps the Welsh kingdom going. I think that's the coolest idea. but we don't really know.
Oh, Robert came up with a logo for a second on my end. I'm using my little phone as a hotspot.
Oh, where's?
Man. So do we know the earliest story of King Arthur?
I'm not sure.
Where that even came from?
I don't know. So I think like it's written down many, many centuries later because they had like the Anglos and Saxons come in and they just don't like write at all, right? So we have the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, like written down there. But I think the earliest, I don't know when we think it was first written, but the earliest copy we have is like 9th century, right? So there's like a 500-year gap. You ever heard the theory too that like the years between 500 AD and like 750 AD just didn't happen? Like somebody just added them because they were like, we're trying to legitimize our rule. Like, let's just say we go back like 250 years. Like, screw it.
I've seen a little YouTube saying pretty much that, but I haven't read. I'm not gonna lie to you and be like, oh, I actually read a very interesting essay on that. I don't want to front about that too much, but I've seen that in exact little YouTube, and it was like the idea was exactly what you said. Like it was like some sort of like fucking like papal shit or some sort of fucking like this dispute over territory or some shit that was like they just decided to add years or erase years or something.
Right. And it's crazy. Yeah, it's like it's crazy, but it just gives a sense of how little things were happening in Europe at the time, or like how little like things were documented, at least in Europe at the time. Obviously, if you go to like other cultures, like they document all those years and things are going on, like important things. But like it just gives a sense of like, yeah, like there was just a long time where like nobody really wrote anything down. There were just a bunch of like, people just fighting each other, and that's it. I
know an Assyrian dude, right? You know Assyrians?
Mm-hmm.
So we have Assyrians in Chicago and Ontario, like a really tiny group of people. Not a lot of them left, right? Talked to this dude that said he could trace his family back over 3,000 years. And he was like, we have, photos of tapestries that my families used to make for, generations on generations. And it's like, it's kind of hard not to believe him. You know what I mean? When I'm like, I think, you definitely think you can do that. I don't know how far it actually goes back. I believe you believe that. You know what I mean?
Right. And
that sounds wild to me.
That's true. I mean, I believe there was a lot of continuity in the population, actually. I just did a video on the ancient Phoenicians and actually stumbled across the fact that if you do DNA studies between people buried in Phoenician cities, like almost 3,000 years ago, like 2,500 years ago, and you compare them with people in Lebanon right now, they estimate that about 90% of the Lebanese population actually came like continuous from that period, which is nuts. It's one of the most invaded areas, right? Because like that whole area sits right in the triangle. If you're not much of a seafaring civilization, which most people weren't back then, that's the only way you get from Europe to Africa. That's how you get from Europe into the Asia, and from Asia to Europe. Like vice versa, right? It's just like you got to go through that area to conquer between continents, and
it's good real estate, baby. Everyone's loving it.
yeah, exactly. And like
location.
Right, exactly. But yeah, it's but then you gotta assume though that like you go back 3,000 years and you're tracing the lineage, but like nobody cheated.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to that. I'm just saying,
No, Robert cheats on his wife. It's okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get some fertility issues in 3,000 years, I think.
What's your favorite Roman history fun fact? You got some fun facts for us? You got something you could rattle off? You got a crazy fun fact about? Because I found out for a while, ancient Rome's actually they ate their own poop for dinner.
Wait, who told you that?
That's a lie. I just wanted to see if you'd argue with me or just let it go. I wanted to see if you'd just be like, "Fuck yeah, sure, man."
I have a dinner fun fact though. So, there's like a myth thing. Like, you ever heard like the vomitorium thing, where people said they used to eat so much then they would throw up and eat again, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
That's made up. That's just that comes from the word for like a big exit. They would call it vomitorium because like people would just spill out of it, so they thought it was funny. They called it the vomitorium, but there's not actually like a place called a vomitorium where they just go throw up. But fun fact related to dinner, there was once a guy. So the rich Romans got so spoiled, all they wanted to do was like eat grapes lying down. Like that image you have of like them lying on those couches, it's correct. The rich ones would even have like their seats, and then they would have like they'd be interspersed in this like living room like filled like 2 feet with water. So like they were like lounging this couch just surrounded by like water. But there was a dude, I think it was Cato the Elder, or Cato the Younger, but I forget. There's some dude where something goes really bad for him. I think he's losing some more, whatever. But anyway, he resolves that until things start going right for him again, he will only eat sitting in a chair. That's his punishment.
Nice.
I am so dedicated to this cause. I'm gonna eat sitting in a chair.
Dude, I'm gonna tell my wife, like, babe, I love you so much. You have to give me a blowjob every day.
Right.
I'm gonna stay married to you until you're not giving me blowjobs every single day, babe. That's how much I love. Just to prove I love you, dude.
I will sacrifice that for you.
That was every day, every single day, every day.
Yeah.
Every single day, because I love you, babe. I'm so dedicated. I'll just snack with the boys and chill. God, that's awesome.
Like I never that Romans were like that luxurious or could have gotten like that bad, but like I don't know, that's the way it makes me feel like some of these upper crust guys.
That rules. I just love that concept. This guy's like thinking way ahead. This guy's playing 3-dimensional chess.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm really bummed about imperialism right now. I'm just gonna jack off twice a day. Two JOs a day until imperialism ended. Done for. Doing this one for the cause.
Yeah. He probably just had acid reflux and had to do it anyway, you know? He's just trying to make it sound like cool.
I have to sit down to eat. Wow. Legend. Man.
I was thinking in the spirit of this being a comedy podcast, I have the oldest surviving joke book. I have jokes from there.
Oh shit!
Like nobody saw it because like my audience is not really about it. But I think some of them are pretty good. I can read some of those.
Please.
Okay, so this is from like the 4th century AD. This would have been like Roman times. I think it's in ancient Greek actually, but that's because like in the Eastern Roman Empire would speak mostly Greek. It's called the Philogelos, which means the laughter lover. All right, this is my favorite one. A man lay with his own grandmother. When his father learned about this, he was furious. But the man said, "You've lain with my mother for years, and I said nothing. But I lied with yours just this once, and now you're upset."
That's pretty good. That's right? Some weirdo mindset. That's some weirdo mindset, guys. Oh, that would crush in a mic today, right?
Right? I think that would work. I feel like I've heard variations of that joke, honestly.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Have you ever seen that movie, The Stupids?
No.
And well, like the father, like Mr. Stupid, he's on like a TV show and he's like, "I'm my own grandfather." And he sings this whole song about how there's in some weird way, like he is his own grandfather by like legally. So I mean, that joke, it's like, yeah, I slept with my grandmother. It's like, it kind of reminds me of like a joke like that.
Right. Like married his stepmother who married something.
It's in parlance, especially. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wasn't, because this is going back like 10 years to history class, but the Roman Empire got split into 2 different empires. Like the Eastern Empire became the Byzantine Empire, correct?
Yep, correct.
And that happened when their 14-year-old Roman emperor in Rome basically gave up the empire to the barbarians, right?
Well, that's when the Western Empire technically, like most people say, fell, right? Like 472 AD, 476, something like that. I actually blame Diocletian, Roman Emperor Diocletian, for this. He's the guy like right before Constantine the Great, who was like the guy that converts Rome to Christianity. But this dude was like, he's the only emperor to ever retire. And people call him, like, people like love this guy because Rome was going through a bunch of shit. They call it the crisis of the 3rd century, where there's people called the Goths, ancient Goths, not the Goths, the aesthetic. It's like a little bit different aesthetic. But so the Goths are just like killing Rome, basically, right? They're like just messing things up for like 100 years. And then a few like emperor general people start coming back, making Rome better. And Diocletian gets all the credit for this because he rules for like 20 years. He brings like stability to the empire. But really, it was the dude like a few before him, and he just got like assassinated like 5 years into his reign. So he like did all the cool stuff, but he was only around for 5 years. So everyone's like, I'm not gonna give this guy credit. Aurelian's the man. But anyway, so like Diocletian divides the empire into actually like 4 parts, right? I think it's like 2 parts, but there's like a senior guy that rules each part, and then a junior guy that rules each part. So there's supposed to be like a natural built-in succession going on. But it was the dumbest fucking idea that you could possibly do, right? Like, why would like nobody's gonna be happy with like half the empire? Like, oh yeah, that's fine. Like, you just have your army over there. Like, I'm not worried about that. Like, I'll let you just chill. So
Not
like,
gonna happen. Not gonna fucking happen.
yeah. So immediately, like after he retires, so he's like rules for 20 years, sets up this whole system, and he basically like he low-key introduces feudalism too. So he starts doing these things like, like, okay, you have to be in this certain guild if you're doing this. I'm gonna, you have to do whatever your father was doing. You have to do all this stuff. So he sets up all this stuff, and it's supposed to make it more stable, and in a way it does. But literally, he retires, and the guys who he picked to succeed him immediately start fighting, and they go back to him because he's not dead. Every other Roman Empire just dies, right? Like mostly assassinated, but like this is so weird. So he's still around. They're all like, okay, we hate each other. This is not working out. You're the only person that can fix this. Just unretire. We'll actually like defer to you. Fix it. And he literally, people love this quote, but like it's also kind of like a shitty thing. He literally just goes like, no, like I'm just growing cabbages. Like I just want to keep growing. Yeah. And then they're like, no, but like seriously, like many people are gonna die, like it's the real thing. And he goes like, guys, you wouldn't ask me this if you just knew how good these cabbages were.
Like going back to Bush to come back, and he's just like, hey, I'm trying to paint some portraits here.
You knew how good my fucking portraits were.
I'm about to have an exhibit, up in DFW. I'm not coming back. No, I'm not fixing that.
Right. I'm a high artist.
Yeah, for real. Oh man, it's like if
He's
people
the
like
politics
Bush.
thing, I'm done. I'm back to
I'm done. I
cabbages
love
from
the idea that Bush would come back in to save the war. Like, oh fuck, we got to pull out again. Bush, and
Right.
Bush is like, I know what to do, boys. Just like I did really good the first time.
Another mission accomplished banner.
Yeah. He just pulls out the banner again. He's like, you guys remember that? You guys loved this. Oh man. That's the funniest part of that is the idea that we call our boy back in and be like, hey dude. He's like, I don't know, man. I'm loving making these fucking little you see the one of me in the shower? Man, I would give anything for a G-Clay from Bush. I'd love to buy a reproduction of one of those bad boys.
Right. I feel like you could like Banksy it, right? Where you could like buy it from Bush and then half destroy it and sell it for like 10 times more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would be huge. I'd say that was Banksy.
Right?
I worked at this tech company where like the owners of it own that website, The Chive, and like
nice.
They're like huge Banksy fans, and so they have the largest private collection of Banksy in the world. And so during South by, they like made the office like a Banksy exhibit, and the Mark Cuban showed up.
Oh,
and
shit.
I was trying to get him to add me on LinkedIn. I could not get Mark Cuban to add me on LinkedIn. But I figured, because I was cold calling, right? So I figured if I had Mark Cuban on my friends list, I call motherfucker and they'd be like, hey, I don't want to hear it. And I'm like, yeah? Why don't you check my LinkedIn real quick and see who I'm connected with? Mark Cuban. And they'd go, whoa, yeah. I'll hear your pitch. Yeah, all right. That's what I thought, Big Dar. Why don't you sit down? I got the deal of life.
I'm surprised he doesn't at least have like a fake LinkedIn he uses for these situations. Like, just to seem nice, he adds you to like the not cool LinkedIn like it was.
Yeah, add me on your fake LinkedIn, man. Come on, just get my back here. Get my freaking back.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Whew. What? So I've seen there's another video that I watched on YouTube. Right, I'm like a tablet kid apparently, where a guy was making this like dessert from ancient Rome, and it was like a date, but he put an almond in it, and then make it into something. And the whole bit was like, oh, like when you bite into this date, it seems like the pit's still in there, but it's actually a little almond. Ha 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 ha. And they was like, the bit was, oh, Rome, their food was all about making little jokes. That was like their dessert was little jokes. Is that true?
I have no idea. Yeah, I wonder. That sounds like is that guy on TikTok as well? He's I I wish I knew it. I can't remember his name right now, but there's some dude that bakes a lot of or makes a lot of Roman dishes on TikTok, and they look pretty amazing.
I want to see your FYP. I bet your FYP is so much fucking ancient Rome stuff, history stuff.
So much, man.
Mine is like chicken fighting, like developmentally disabled people. It's like mine is like a very specific. Like I don't know how I ended up here, but it's like it shows me a lot of people with Down syndrome, tons of every day. I have a heavy Down syndrome For You page. I don't know what I did. Not complaining. I'm not saying it's bad. Don't misquote me there. I'm just saying it's what I see. Just saying it's what I see. I got no. Just saying it's what I see.
Well, like one of my TikTok conspiracies too is just that like they will show your videos to people who like are similar to whatever you watch. Mm-hmm. So I feel like even if I don't want to watch Roman history anymore, like I'm just trying to chillax, I see a Roman history video, I just gotta watch it all the way through. Just got to. You know,
every time I see someone doing stand-up on TikTok, I immediately hold it down and click I'm not interested because like I'm not gonna watch people stand up. And when I first got TikTok, that's all it showed me was like people stand up, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna be watching some fucking dude's good showcase in fucking Madison, Wisconsin. And he had a killer set, so he put the little subtitles. I don't want to see that, man. I don't want to see it.
You gotta like it and favorite it so that it's all you see, and then people will see. People who like that will see your stuff.
I found out that if you hold down I'm not interested, you hold it down, there's that option that says I'm not interested. I do that on like everything. I'm like, show me chicken fight. Recently it asked me if I speak Tagalog, and I was like, yeah, I speak Tagalog. Let's see some more Filipino shit on here. And I was like, let's go, dude. Let's spice up this algorithm a little bit. Why not?
Fair. Yeah. I've had like people just recently start like stitching my videos in different languages, like responding to them in different languages, and I just like I hope it's positive. That's all I feel. I have no idea what this means.
I hope so.
There's a rival account. It's Ottoman Empire hat guy.
Yeah. There's a person I'm trying to do some collabs with Kava Art, KAVEH_art. Shout out. We're trying to get some Roman Persian fake conflict going on here, so we'll see what happens.
TikTok beef.
TikTok
it's
beef.
wartime, baby.
Yeah, like what? How big do you have to be before you can get a rival, right? Like a nemesis. Like
I had an enemy at 1 follower, baby. I'm all about building. I draw hard lines. I love finding my enemies. I'd rather know who my enemies are than my friends. You know what I'm saying?
It was like your mom, just like commenting on your post.
Yeah. I always say, shut it,
bitch. Too dirty.
Yeah, it's too dirty. That's nasty. My dad says things are nasty. If he hears a cuss word and something, he goes, that's nasty. I don't need to hear that. That's nasty.
Nice.
What religion did you grow up, Thomas?
So I grew up Catholic, Roman Catholic. So maybe there's a little bit of a subconscious thing there, you know?
I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah. How about yourself?
One of the spicy ones, Christianity, but like a Bush era Christianity. You know what I mean?
Word.
Yeah. It's good time. You know, I was like, it's like the fun, spicy, you know. I didn't know that like there were people that grew up in church that like just like went to church on Sundays and like their parents drank alcohol. I thought it was like all or nothing. I remember finding out that was an option when I was like 23 and being like, damn, you can just like be a chill person. I was like, that's crazy.
Are there Christian sects where you can't drink alcohol? I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, brother. Oh yeah. It gets deep.
Well,
there's a type of Christian where like you can't have a beard.
So there's like there's a split in the Eastern Vikings, right? Where like you can literally measure so the Vikings go on and like conquer the area that becomes Russia, right? Like the Rus or like pre-Ukrainians, Russians, like that. So but the areas east of them all convert to Islam at some point, and the Vikings end up converting to like Eastern Orthodox Christianity in Russia and Ukraine areas, and the Slavs as well, right? And a lot of scholars think that the reason is because the Scandinavians, Vikings, come from a really wintry culture. They're not giving up their alcohol, so they don't want to convert to Islam. But all the steppe people smoke hashish. They don't want to give that up. They go Islam. They don't go Christianity where it's not accepted. So
nice, man.
Really crazy.
That's good. That's good reason. Here's the thing: That's the reason I joined a religion too. It's like, hey, you guys smoke weed. I don't know. I watched something on TV one time where this guy was like, "Yeah, I have 2 wives," and I was like, "Whoa, what religion is that?" Okay. I'm down to like go to whatever holy text study that is. 2 of them? Are they nice to you? Whoa.
Well, at least it used to be in Islam you can have 4, but it's different interpretations now.
One for each season.
What's that? One? Yeah, exactly.
4, one for each season.
Islam doesn't do multiple wives anymore. No type of Islam. There's some types of Islam, like Wahhabis. They got to be multiple wives, right?
Some types, yeah. I don't. I think yeah, it depends. Just depends, right? Different interpretations and vibes. But
when did the Roman Empire end? What was the final fucking? When does it count? Because I know it became like you guys were talking about. It split off and became 2 different things. One's Byzantine, one Roman. When did it say like, no, dude, now you're just fucking wherever you are?
do you want to hear my spiciest take on it?
Oh, please, dude. I hope it's racy. I hope it's offensive to some people. Hit me.
I'm just gonna pick the one that I don't think most people pick. So first of all, we call them the Byzantines, right? Which is the Eastern Roman Empire. They call themselves the Roman Empire. They spoke Greek, whatever. You can argue that they were more Greek than Latin, whatever, just like ethnically. But by the time the empire goes on, like there's not a lot of like Latins. Like it's not majority Latin anyway, the Western Roman Empire. So whatever. But the only reason really called, I think that the term Byzantine was only used in like 15th century AD. And at that point, you have the Holy Roman Empire in the West with a lot of power, and they're just like, hey, scholars, like, don't call these guys the Roman Empire. We're the Roman Empire. We're the cool guys. Like, it's all like propaganda, right? So like they were the Roman Empire for sure. So I'm gonna throw out the 472 ending because those guys, these Roman empires, still going, right? Then you could obviously say like when the Byzantine Empire falls, right, which is like 1453 to the Turks. Some people won't even go beyond that because like the Turkish guy, I think it's Mehmet II, that conquers them. He also assumes like the title of Rome, but he's not like as into it, right? It's a whole like he's like no longer looking back to like Caesar and these guys as like the ultimate like goats. He's looking to his own culture, he's looking to like his own religion and stuff. So it's a little different. But I want to say actually Fourth Crusade, because that's the first time you get a non-Roman guy sacking Constantinople, the major capital city of the Byzantine Empire. And the Franks just take it over. The Latin, like all these people just take it over. They take all the gold and everything back to their own areas. And from then on, it's like a very small strip of land, different fighting principalities. Some guy gets it back for a little bit, but then like the writing's on the wall. After the Fourth Crusade, writing's on the wall. Mm-hmm. And the Fourth Crusade was originally supposed to be like the Crusades were started by like the Byzantines being like, hey, please help us, guys, right? And but what happens is a bunch of people answer the call that were already fighting with the Byzantines and already kind of wanted to like kill the Byzantine emperor. And the Byzantine emperor's like, actually, I'm not gonna let you guys get in the gates. Maybe just fuck off. And then they like literally have a debate. Like the First Crusade, there's this huge debate amongst crusaders. Like, okay, we're here outside the walls of Byzantium. They even start like skirmishing with the guards and things. And this guy Bohemond in particular, who had already had wars with the Byzantine empires in Greece, he really wanted to conquer that area. But he's like, all right, screw it, I'll be a crusader, like for like Bruce Volt and all that stuff. The Pope wants me to do it, let's do it. So there's a huge debate with the crusaders of like, should we just actually forget like Jerusalem, forget all these areas, and we'll just like take Byzantium, like it's right here, like it's really rich, like let's do it. And they almost do. But Bowman's like for it, like he's like, let's do it.
I'm for it, man. I'm all about that easy take. You know what I mean? I love that shit. I was like, oh, dude, that sounds like low hanging fruit, and your boy's hungry. Right? That sounds like a good move. Yeah.
Yeah, like you guys already said you needed the help. Like we know you're weak. Like let's just take this.
Exactly where my mind went, Tom. I was like, they're talking about help us. You rolled up with your boys, and you're like, damn, your spot's actually looking pretty good right now, dude.
And you're not going to just let us in?
You're saying you're having a hard time protecting the spot? Okay.
But they end up not doing it. But then it's not until like 150 years later where the Fourth Crusade is like, nah, I bet like we're going to actually take you over, and there's like a payment issue and things. That's why they allegedly they're like, well, you're supposed to pay us, you didn't pay us, whatever. So Yeah, the Franks and the Venetians just take it down, and it's never the same since. So.
God. Franks and Venetians.
All in the name of
Tale as
God.
old as time.
Yeah. I was actually talking to a Turkish guy who agreed with this too. Like, I just thought it was funny because, like, the Turkish guy was like, "No, we didn't like end Rome. Like, you guys ended Rome. Like, what are you talking about?"
I never blame the Turks. I always blame Rome. I'm kidding. I have no clue what I'm talking about. I just like to say stuff like that. To be clear, man, I never blame the Turkish people. I've always been pro-Turkish people as far as their role in the Holy Roman Empire. Oh, that was something.
Yeah.
My brother always used to make a joke between him and his friends. My brother's like an academic guy. He used to say, it's funny that it was called the Holy Roman Empire. It was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. What does that joke mean?
Yeah.
Explain that one to us. I don't get it.
That's I think that's originally from Voltaire, if I remember correctly. So it's mostly just he's shitting on them, right? Because he's this Enlightenment thinker. He hates. They all hate the Middle Ages people, right? Like, so they're just shitting on them for that reason. I mean, the holiness part came out because the Pope crowned the emperors, right? So it wasn't even like thing like Holy Roman Emperor was. There were a lot of like kings of Germany who never even got that title, even though they were in succession, because like the Pope was just like, no, like fuck you, we don't want to. So you had to be like this king of Germany or whatever, and like and it's not true Germany, but like the area, basically that area, and the Pope had to be like cool. And because of that, they would always often like install their own popes, and there was this whole battle between Holy Roman emperors and especially the Normans who ended up in southern Italy between like just capturing popes, making them like recognize one another as like whatever they wanted. But that's where the holy part comes from. As far as Roman, they had a small claim to like some parts of Italy, right? But yeah, most of the territory they had was not Roman. That all starts with Charlemagne, right? Charlemagne's the first Holy Roman Emperor. They didn't call it back then; they just called him the Roman Emperor. And the Pope just kind of, if you believe Charlemagne, he's like, I didn't ask for this. I don't even want this, guys. I don't even want this crown. The Pope just like I went down here just defending the Pope, and the Pope just like threw it on me. But that's probably PR, in my opinion, right? Like you can't just be like, yes, I want it to be the Roman Emperor. Also, like Charlemagne's guys were all Franks, and they thought Romans were kind of like weak at this point, right? All the Italians, they're like effeminate, la la la. Because they're just like seeing themselves as like these barbarian guys. They don't even like reading. Charlemagne is like LARPing with his friends with like calling himself Roman names, and he's like writing Latin and stuff. They all think it's lame. They're like, dude, just like no, like ride on horses and stuff. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So he starts this stuff, but yeah, like the people in the territory were basically no connection to at least the founders of Rome, right? And then in terms of an empire, it depends because like, you could say. I feel like the modern definition of empire is that you have to be ruling over either multiple different ethnicities that see them like peoples that see themselves as separate peoples, or like multiple different sub-states that see themselves as like wholly separate things, right? That's kind of the modern definition, but the word emperor, or really, if you trace it back to how the Romans used it, there were many emperors during the Roman Republic period. It was called imperator. And it was just this thing whenever your general like really like did something awesome, you would just like lift him up on a shield and be like, you're the imperator, like we love you, man. It just meant like it was just like saying you're awesome. It didn't really come with any privileges. It was usually what you had to be. Usually the soldiers had to do this to you in order for you to win a triumph. And the triumph was a cool thing. We got to parade around Rome with like your face painted red and like everyone's like you're a god kind of thing, right?
Nice. I want that.
Right. Actually, I think there was like supposed to be, at least with Caesar, I think there was like one guy that was supposed to like whisper in your ear the whole time that remember thou art mortal. They're just trying to like keep you like from going like too crazy with the high of like everybody worshiping you.
Nice. That's Robert for me.
Fair. But yeah, so it wasn't until like much later that people would just use the term imperator as if it was like a royal title, like because it didn't mean king. Like the Latin word for king is rex, and the Romans hated that word because the last king of the Romans before they kicked him out was this dude who sexually assaulted this woman who then committed suicide. Whole ordeal. They hated the kings. They kicked them all out. They were like, we're never going to be ruled by a king again. And so they're totally they end up being ruled by a king, but they call it the imperator, right? That's just like kind of their technicality. Everyone's cool.
PR, baby. That's just marketing.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's actually really interesting too why when we refer to foreign kings or foreign rulers, right, we'll call some emperors and some kings, and it's very like arbitrary because like, for instance, we used to call like the Japanese emperor, right, or the Chinese emperor, but we were calling the king of Iran the Shah, right? Well, so like the Chinese emperor's real title, I think, is Huangdi, which means one from the heavens or something like that. Japanese emperor has a similar term in Japanese, similar meaning. So it has no relation to like the history of emperors. They're obviously not calling themselves like emperors, right? But whereas Shah literally means king. We just decided not to translate it. And I think that's kind of like sus, right? Like, why don't you just if I'm like being a little like conspiratorial, I think that we chose consciously not to translate some of these words to make it sound more foreign, right? If we were just like right?
You're preaching to the choir, baby.
Yeah, if we were like, oh, we can't do this these terrible things to the king of Iran, right? Oh, we can do it to the Shah, right?
The Shah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This would be the consort to the king. Do you mean the queen? No. The consort to the king of Jordan.
Right.
Okay. Got it. Understood.
Yeah.
Man, here's the thing: is I don't call anyone a president. I don't call them a prime minister. I don't say king. I don't say Shah. I say God King incarnate. I say, oh, the God King incarnate of America, Biden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just the way I view the world. Kind of have like a, really big perspective, kind of like a third eye on that type of shit. They call me Baby Einstein, but I done grown up now, so kind of see shit different.
And it's so funny too how like everybody ends up hating these titles for some reason, and then they make a new title. So like, right, like king got a bad name by the time. So emperor, so Rex got a bad name, so they use emperor. Emperor got a bad name, so they use the Germanic king. And then king got a bad name, so we use president, which meant something very similar to like secretary, right? So like you're basically calling like Secretary Washington, right? Like he serves you. And then president got too much of a name, so now all like the more like socialist places end up using like secretary, literally, like, or like we translate them as like, it's not literally, but like, in English we translate it more to secretary, like general secretary, something like that. We just keep doing euphemisms, right? Eventually, so you just gotta keep like. Eventually, maybe we'll go back to Rex.
Mm-hmm. So I'd like to say, just like, let me worship you again. Let me bow down to someone. You know what I mean? I want a Nebuchadnezzar style president that will throw me into the furnace if I don't bow down. You know what I mean? I'm no Meshach over here. I'll just say you got it, Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah. After about like 200 years of Roman emperors, they started adding the title Dominus et Deus to their designation, which was Master and God.
Nice. Have you seen Master and Commander, the like 4-hour movie about boat wars?
I loved it. I saw it only recently.
I saw that in theaters, and I was like maybe like 10 or 11, so it was over my head. But I just remember watching like this 13-year-old like go to war and being like, wow, that's what I'm going to do when I'm 13. Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to be on a boat. But, things worked out differently for me. Now I'm just podcasting with the boys.
Very like similar vibe, right?
Oh, yeah, this is our modern day Vietnam. Podcasting is our modern day Vietnam, and I accepted the draft.
Yeah, at least like half of being a sailor back in the day must have been just like shooting the shit with the boys.
Oh, dude, I feel like that's most jobs everywhere. I feel like every job I've ever been able to keep is just because like, oh, dude, what do you want to bullshit for a bit and kind of stand by the truck you're supposed to be working? Let's go, dude. Chit chat. Yeah. Chit chat runs the world, baby. The water cooler, man. That's it, baby. The proverbial water cooler, man. That's where kings are made. Man, Thomas, what do you want to leave us with? What do you got? What how are you going to cap us off here? What's the crescendo here? Well, I'll take another one of those jokes. I love those too.
I'm gonna say I got another joke prepared. If you want another joke, I have let's see. All right, so there's a lot of like kind of like I hate my wife kind of jokes on here. They're ancient, so I can give you one of those.
So are our wives, right? No, come on, don't edit that out, Robert. We have wives.
Yeah, actually, I like this one. Do you guys know what a eunuch is?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm a eunuch.
Okay. I like this one. So like, well, I'll give you a wife hating joke first, and then I'll give you a so a man approached his rival and said, "I lay with your wife last night without paying a dime." The other man replied, "It is my duty as her husband to lay with her. What made you do it?" People wrote this down in ancient Greek on a scroll. You know what I mean? Like it took a lot of time. They had to keep copying it.
Yeah, that's good.
And then eunuch one I think is I love this one. A man saw a eunuch talking with a woman and asked him if she was his wife. When he replied that eunuchs couldn't have wives, the man said, "So is she your daughter?"
All right, wait. Let's do one more, and then we can do it as the cold open for the show.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So, a man was paying his last respects at his wife's tomb. A passerby asked, "Who has gone to the rest?" The man replied, "I think me for once."
Man.
They're pretty good, right? They're kind of like dad joke vibes, but like I think they're pretty good.
That is good.
Like stepdad joke vibes.
Ye old ancient stepdad.
Yeah.
The old ancient stepdad. I like the ancient Roman jokes, man. The oldest joke known is like we don't understand the context, so we don't know why it's funny. You know about this? The Babylonian joke. The dog walked into the bar and said, "I can't see a thing."
Yeah.
That to me, I think about all the time, where it's like, I would love to know why that's funny. Because it's like you said, bro, it's so funny they wrote it down. And it's like, but humor is 100% context. So we don't really know why that was so funny.
Yeah.
But it's like, I would love to know why that's so funny. That would, you know what I mean? I would love to know that, you know?
That baffled me as well. I don't know. We gotta.
So they ain't got no lights in the bar. That's why. Make fun of the bar.
I'd love to, Robert. I'd love to get you on the phone with like the historians that study that and just be like, bro, they just didn't have lights in the bar.
Yeah. There's the bar in Babylonia. The dog walks in, it's like, yo, I can't see a fucking thing.
Yeah, there were no light bulbs. What were they?
They had no light bulbs. Of course, yeah.
No candles.
Robert's like calling Oxford. Yeah, it's me again.
Look, I cracked the case yet again.
Give me another one.
Ready. I had one last question for you, Tom, before you get out of here.
What?
Your Roman helmet.
Yes.
What era, what rank would that helmet have been? Because I've got a pretty good guess. It's like mid Roman Empire or Republic.
Yep. So I got a lot of feedback that the helmet doesn't fit. By the way, people are really mad about that. But
Then get you a new one. Come on.
I think part of the thing with like as I'm talking like either like very seriously or like whatever with the flaps are just kind of flapping around my face. I think that kind of is the vibe. But the helmet is Imperial Gallic, so yeah, it would have been used in like areas around like modern day France and yeah, like 100 200 AD kind of vibe.
But you didn't go for the Praetorian with the big feather artistic vibe.
I was thinking, I was going to promote myself to a centurion in 100K, but then I reached 100K and I had nothing prepared. I didn't order, like, the helmets take like a month or two to come, right? So I was like, oh, fuck. We'll see.
No, you got to keep yourself humble. It's like, yeah, I've got 1 million followers, so what? Like, I'm still foot soldier in it.
Exactly. I also feel like just like the little giant red plume would be like really distracting in videos. So
hard to get that fully in the shot.
Yeah.
We got to get you not a replica. We got to get you one that was like we found. Like you've seen that photo of the crocodile armor?
No.
There's ancient Roman crocodile armor that's like incredible looking. Like it's like beautiful, and it's like damn, it still looks good. It's like 1,000 years old and still older than 1,000, bro. But still, it slaps. You know what I mean? It's tight. But we got to get you one of those. Just one that's 2,000 years old. They still survive.
Let's start a GoFundMe right now. We'll launch it. Soft launch.
Got a soft launch for a GoFundMe and in the pod right now.
Swerve, the rims is glistening. They got see the wood cause the top is missing. I sleep on dreams cause it's paper I'm chasing. My roots come from Texas, this inflation. On the side, on the side, one the side, on the side, on the side, on the side, One aside, one aside, one aside, one aside.